delle asperità. Siamo proprio eroici, noi che stiamo ancora qua, con il cuore impavido, con la dignità di chi ha un grande spirito, di chi ama la città, ma oramai è più di un secolo.
And Happy New Year to all of you out there, and we're here at the wonderful studios at CTV. We just coming off our holiday party. Our annual party was really good. The food was awesome, right, Mike?
Yes.
We had a good time.
Great success.
Two rounds of food. It was I really had a memorable time. So here we are for another edition of the Vito Conenna Sports Show. My special guest today is Michael Mazzone. Thank you for being a guest.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome. When I heard your last name was Mazzone, the first thing I mentioned, if you were related to Gene, and you said that was your cousin, so that was pretty interesting.
Let's say hello to all the Mazzones out there.
And
How are you?
And I think the most famous Mazzones are probably, what comes to my mind is Leo Mazzone, who was the Atlanta pitching coach.
Pitching coach, that's
yeah.
right.
And then there was also another one that was the Roma coach. In Serie A, Carlo Mazzone. He was like a memorable coach.
Yeah,
he coached well in his 70s.
The thing is, some people, they pronounce it Mazzone or Mazzone, and I don't know. I figured I go with Mazzone. So,
what was I going to say? So the first thing, when I first met you, I thought you were Tony Romo. I guess that's a good compliment. That was the first impression I got.
Well, I actually can throw the football pretty far. I have some quarterbacking skills. So I appreciate that comment. I take Tony Romo anytime.
Absolutely, no question about that. So let's get right into the NFL playoffs. A lot going on. And it was the week of surprises. Michael, I couldn't believe the stuff that was happening.
Unbelievable. I mean, you would never think that the Patriots would lose a game at home.
Correct.
It just didn't make no sense. Obviously, they put themselves in, that spot because they lost to Miami. And think about it. They would have had the bye, and they would have waited to see who would win, and they would host the divisional championship. So, I mean, that placed them in a tough spot. But honestly, do you really think that the Patriots were going to lose their first playoff game?
I don't think anybody did.
Against the Titans.
I don't think anybody did. That was a shocker.
Complete shocker.
And the first thing that, when they interviewed Tom Brady, first thing he mentioned, he's not done. Obviously, he said in the past that he wanted to play until he's 45. So the rumor is, will he take a pay cut and stay home, or will he take the money and leave and go to another club? So we'll have to see how that turns out.
That's true. I mean, obviously, he wants to continue playing. Okay, he's in great shape. And the thing that comes to mind is you don't know if they lost because it was Tom Brady or was it the Patriots.
Exactly.
Because I could tell you it was always a given. If you look at the games that New England are in, third down for them was just, it was given. It didn't matter. I mean, it could be third down and 10, or it could be, third and short. He'd always capitalize. He'd have his receiver.
Sure.
And you don't understand how third down could really change the whole game, because especially that play at the goal line. I mean, Tennessee, they got a good defense. They don't have the great defense, but come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on third and go. They're at the goal line twice.
Yeah.
And they got stopped.
Yeah. Could have been maybe the Patriots took them very lightly, or the fact that the Patriots are coming to an end of an era, perhaps. 6 Super Bowls, the team of the decade. Regardless of what happens with Tom Brady and the rest of his career, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
No question about it. I mean, there's a lot of argument who's the greatest quarterback, and whether you like Brady, and obviously people like him if you're a Patriots fan and you love football. But you know what? Brady is someone that just he killed everybody's hopes if you went against him.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, the only
Some
thing...
people hate Brady
Yeah.
for what reason?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're talking about someone who was
Changed the game.
12 picks away from Mr. Irrelevant. And he obviously showed up when Bledsoe got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, he's been monumental
Absolutely.
in the last 20 years of football.
He's rewritten the history books.
Of course.
And, for New York Giants perspective point of view, you're happy that you beat them twice. That's
And
the only good
let
thing.
me tell you, you're a Giant fan, that incredible catch, David Tyree.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Probably the catch of the
Unbelievable.
decade, memorable Super Bowl, probably the best moment of the decade, and probably the best catch of the decade. So that was pretty interesting what he did. And then also with Victor Cruz, I mean, it was phenomenal how they carried them to great victories.
It was something else. I mean, the games that he won in the Super Bowl, he didn't win by much. I mean, a field goal that Philadelphia could have tied a game. Another time, Seattle. I mean, but he came through.
Sure, no question about it. Now, what about the other surprise, which was the Saints losing to the Vikings? You thought last year when the Saints were so close and they got robbed that they were going to be ready, but you know what? Short-lived for both of these clubs.
You thought that would be like a shootout, and it was a close game.
Yeah, overtime.
Obviously.
Yeah.
New Orleans puts at least 30 points on the board, and Minnesota, they were surprised, and you could say something about the ending play. I mean, was it a penalty or not? And then 2 years ago, that surprising catch.
Of course.
But that's how it is. Everyone didn't expect New Orleans to lose in the first round.
Absolutely, no question about that. Just want to go back to the Patriots real quick. When they got Antonio Brown earlier on, that was to increase their chances of getting back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Do you feel like by, scrapping Antonio Brown early, maybe that could have had an impact if they would have had him in this game where they needed him? What do you think?
You know what? Obviously, he has a problem with discipline, and he's a showboat, and teams couldn't stand him. But he is a talent, and he would have been on the team. Brady would have had another receiver besides
Another option.
Edelman.
Absolutely. Another, more versatile, of course.
Of course.
So that's another thing that, you have to look back at. What will we see this week? Maybe more upsets? I mean, let's see what we got on store. We have, coming up on Saturday, we have Minnesota Vikings versus the San Francisco 49ers, who've had a great regular season.
Yes, they did.
That's going to be 4:35 p.m. And then the nightcap will be the Tennessee Titans versus the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson's Baltimore Ravens, 8:15 p.m. That's the Saturday games.
Well, you know what? San Francisco, they had a lot of success this year. And, I mean, you got to pick them. They're at home. But really, I mean, Minnesota, that quarterback, he's pretty impressive. He just hasn't won Monday Night Football games. And they were hoping, when was it going to be when he wins the first big game? Could he continue?
Sure.
They got a lot of offensive weapons, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we'll see if Tennessee could do it again. I don't know, but this is a bigger task. I mean, because Baltimore, Lamar Jackson is up for the MVP award, and when you think of him, you got flashbacks of Michael Vick.
Michael Vick, of course. Okay, the thing is, he's got an arm. Okay, and going back with Michael Vick, he's definitely a dual threat quarterback. I mean, if he's got the room, he's gonna run. Okay. And if you play back, he's gonna look for his gifted receivers.
You know what, Michael? I think with the Patriots and Saints being out, this only means it could very well pave the way for the Ravens-Chiefs Super Bowl that a lot of people want to see because of these two great quarterbacks, these two great phenoms, these talents.
Well, it wouldn't be the Ravens and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It would be the AFC Championship.
Oh, yeah, AFC Championship. I want to say
Okay.
instead of last year when it was the Chiefs and the Patriots, and the Chiefs were so
course.
close. So
The
you know,
Chiefs were close, and you know what? Going to that game, obviously, the Chiefs are favorite, and they got Mahomes. He's going to come through. The last couple of games, they've been playing phenomenal, and it's gonna be tough, obviously, for the team to get where they want to be.
Yeah.
And
it's been a long time for Kansas City in the
Yes, it
big
is.
game. You know, in the Super Bowl. It's been. I have a friend. His dad used to play nose tackle for the Chiefs. Dino Mangiaro. He had a
of
restaurant.
course, I remember
Dino's.
Dino
Yeah.
Mangiaro.
So
Yeah.
you know they're
He's
rooting for the
famous
Chiefs.
for that fumble in one of the playoff games.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, he is. You
Okay.
look up his name.
Okay. He played.
So,
He played for a few teams. He played for the Seahawks. He lived a few blocks from me in Huguenot.
mhm.
So you know, it's interesting that I know they're big Chiefs fans and they're rooting for them, and that he also played for the Seahawks. I mean, Kansas City. It's basically, it looks like it's their time because they were so close, and you know, and it seems like how much more, you know. Let down for your fans. Hopefully they can finally get there because it's
Yeah.
been a history of
I mean,
disappointment, unfortunately.
True,
You know,
True. I mean, they're diehard fans. I mean,
that stadium is pretty
Arrowhead
loud. It's
Stadium,
pretty loud.
It's loud. I think the weather is going to play a factor.
Okay.
And the thing is, what do you got with Houston coming up? Deshaun Jackson,
Yeah.
you know,
And that's-
another dual threat quarterback.
And that's going to
mean-
be the Sunday game at 3:05.
That's right.
Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we got the Seahawks, Green Bay. They've always had classics throughout their history when they've met in the playoffs or wherever it is. That's going to be Sunday at 6:40 p.m. So we
Right.
got a lot to look forward to with these games.
The thing is, though, I cannot believe how Buffalo lost that lead.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Well, Buffalo, you look back at their history, they've had some memorable games,
Yeah.
but they've also known, boy, I love losing Super Bowls. That's what
Yeah.
their theme is. But what about when Buffalo, vice versa, when they beat the Houston Oilers, when they
Back
set
in
the record?
1988.
Yeah, with Warren Moon was the quarterback for the Oilers, and that was the biggest
incredible comeback.
the biggest point deficit in the playoffs. That was incredible. So, I mean, you know what? You get a lot from the Bills, but it's just, again, their fans got to be hurting because they're a team. They've had success in the '90s, but they have nothing to show for it. No
nothing
ring.
at all.
No Super Bowl
4
rings.
Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah. So.
I mean, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you got a lot to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they got a good, promising team for next year. They should have just held on to that lead, and they just didn't. They allowed them to get back into the game, and that's how it is.
Yeah, exactly. I want to bring up Joe Judge, who's my age, 38 years old, set to become the new coach of the New York Giants, Patriots assistant coach and special teams coordinator.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Giants need more than just a coach, obviously.
Yeah, well, they're in the rebuilding
They
stage,
are
along
in the rebuilding
probably
stage.
with the Jets as well. But the Jets might have a little bit more in them. They've won a few more games.
They have, and believe it or not, if you look at their record in the last 9 games, they were 7-2 almost. So they look good for next year.
And the Cowboys are slated to hire John Fassel, as a special teams coordinator. But as their head coach, they're going to hire Mike McCarthy.
Yes.
Everybody knows him from the Green Bay Packers.
Won the Super Bowl.
So that's a good choice there. You know what? It's an upgrade from Jason Garrett, that's for sure.
Yeah, Jason Garrett, I think because he played for the Dallas Cowboys, and you know what? It was something that they just felt, give him the chance.
Yeah.
But every time kind of see him. He didn't have that enthusiasm.
Sure, no question about it.
I feel that
He didn't have
Romo could have had
Yeah,
a more successful.
Yeah,
He should have. He
yeah.
could have been to maybe
yeah.
1 or 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I mean, you're right about what Garrett. He didn't have like the Bill Parcells in him. The enthusiasm.
Yeah.
The demeanor. You know what I mean? That was lacking. Not even like a Jimmy Johnson. It was different type of. Jason Garrett, I think, was a little bit too laid back. I think he was too comfortable
Yeah.
because he was a player and he just felt like maybe he can get away with not being a certain character. But I think the Dallas Cowboys now with McCarthy are definitely going to be on the way up. Want to bring up the Raiders running back Josh Jacobs buys a house for his father. That was an interesting story.
You know what? It's an interesting story. They make millions, and obviously they always want to give back. Because if you think about it, some of these players, they've been in broken homes. They've been only raised by one parent, and they become successful. And they don't forget the people that allow them to become successful in the sport that they loved. Yeah, so, I mean, good for Josh Jacobs, and, he'll have a house party, invite the rest of the clan.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds pretty good. And speaking of the Raiders, their new stadium in Las Vegas looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, they went all out on that one. Raiders, another team.
We don't have Vanna White, but I'll demonstrate. I'll get up and show you what we have on the board. This was last week.
I'd like a vowel, please.
Bills at Texans.
Yep.
We have that. There was 43.5 was the total points that was circled there. Titans at Patriots, it says +5.
Plus 5.
Points. 44
Yeah.
points on that one.
I mean, do you really think that game was going to be 13-14 before that interception? Unbelievable.
Vikings at Saints, +8. 49.5 was the total.
Another low-scoring game. Didn't cover.
And the Seattle Seahawks at Eagles, -2, 1.5.
Yeah, the Eagles, after Carson Wentz gets hurt, you're going to ask a 40-year-old quarterback to come in and try to lead that team down the field. Didn't work out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And come on, there was that play, 3rd down and 18. You give Russell Wilson time to throw, he's going to find somebody. Another one, dual threat quarterback.
Oh, for sure.
He ran for 18 yards to get that first down.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him too much room, and Seattle's on its way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Let's get into the NBA and switch things up. Basically, I casted my votes for the NBA All-Star Game. I voted in the Greek Freak, Kyrie Irving, R.J. Barrett of the New York Knicks, Morris of the Knicks, and Jimmy Butler. On the West, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Leonard, Doncic, and James Harden. Those are my selections.
Definitely, those are good selections. But, it's easier to just say the Greek Freak, because how do you pronounce that guy's name?
That's true.
Ana Tekempo?
Yeah, it's a difficult name to pronounce.
Yeah.
I know. That's true.
He also has his brother on the team. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
And the NBA All-Star Game will be played February 16th. And I'll be honest, this new format, I think it was better if they would adopt what the NHL did in the past when they had the Americans versus the world. I think that's what the NBA should do. Make it a little bit more interesting. Instead of what they're doing, it's LeBron's team. In the past, it's Stephon Curry's team.
Yeah.
I think they got to,
I'll be honest. I mean,
get a better
think the NBA
idea.
All-Star Game, all the All-Star Games, it's just entertainment. I mean, they all get together. Obviously, what is it going to be this year? 160 to 155?
Exactly. Now, Michael, let's go into the leagues.
Yeah, the leagues.
Boston Celtics, 25-9 in the Atlantic. Toronto Raptors, 24-13. The Sixers, 24-14. Brooklyn Nets is 16-20. And then the Knicks, unfortunately, they've been there for a long time, 10 and 27.
Yeah, 10 and 27.
And, nothing to be cheerful about for many
They
years.
just came off that West Coast road trip. They lost really big against the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
They came to play against the Clippers. I
Yeah.
give them a hand on that one, but now they're playing Utah before they come home. With the Knicks, I don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's true.
They fired Tisdale. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter
Knicks,
anymore. Well, here's a
you're
team.
obviously just going to have to wait
Yeah,
for years
that's true.
before anything
That's
happens
true.
positive with them.
Well, when you talk about positive, the Milwaukee Bucks now, they're
Milwaukee
leading.
Bucks.
This is another possibility that they can get to the promised land once again this year. And it could be them and the Lakers, the way it's looking. Right now, the Bucks are 32-6, Indiana Pacers 23-14,
Okay.
Detroit Pistons 14-24, Chicago Bulls 13-24, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are 10-27 for the Central Division.
True, but I don't know. You didn't say anything about the Los Angeles Clippers because
Yeah, we're going to get
we
into
saw
the West.
game 2 weeks ago.
The Clippers beat them on Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah, they beat the Lakers.
I mean,
Away.
the Lakers, they're long, obviously, but you got to give the athleticism to the Clippers.
Yeah.
I mean, good, Kawhi Leonard, he's been there,
Oh, yeah.
and obviously LeBron's been there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take in the West Finals, it would definitely be the Clippers and the Lakers. And think about it.
That'd be a pretty good,
Yeah, because
good series.
they're both obviously in the same
Yeah,
location.
exactly.
It's not like they're going to be traveling
Yeah,
anywhere.
exactly. Now we talk about the Southwest Division. Miami Heat 26-10, Orlando Magic 17-20, Charlotte Hornets 15-24, and the Washington Wizards 12-24. And then we got the Hawks 8-29. There's actually a team worse than the Knicks.
Well, I guess the Knicks and the Hawks will wait for the
draft.
NBA draft.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only hope.
I mean, the East, the playoffs, you gotta obviously pick the Bucks, and I think the finals will be the Bucks and the Celtics. I won't, rule out Miami,
Mm-hmm.
but the Celtics have the experience. They've been in the playoffs the last couple of years, and the Bucks got close last
Bucks
year.
were very close last
Yeah.
year. They,
Dominant force,
Yeah.
the Greek Freak.
Oh, yeah.
If he stays healthy, I mean,
We got a couple of comments. Felix Correa, good going, Vito, great show. And Fabrizio just checked in. Vito, why do you think of the Giants hiring? He is the same age as you. Laugh out loud. What do you think about the hiring? Well, you felt that, that they could have done better, but they need more than a coach. That was your take on
definitely.
it. He said, only
I
kidding.
really think it's just a coach.
Yeah.
No, it's a little bit more than that.
So the West, Denver Nuggets 25-11, Utah Jazz 24-12, Oklahoma City Thunder 21-16, Portland
Denver will probably go to the conference semifinals.
Portland Trailblazers 16-22, Minnesota Timberwolves 14-22. That's the Northwest Division. Now we're going to go into the Pacific Division where things are popping here. You got the LA Lakers 30-7, LA
30 and
Clippers
7. Incredible.
26-12, Sacramento Kings 15-23, Phoenix Suns 14-23, Golden State Warriors 9-29. That's the Pacific.
What happened to Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, well,
And
they-
to think about it,
they've turned around.
they just started playing in their new arena, the Chase Arena.
Yeah. And I mean, it seems like their glory days are
again-
behind them.
But you obviously think that they'd have a little bit more enthusiasm. Obviously, I don't think
You know
Steph
what?
Curry's playing, but
They lost
were
Durant.
looking forward
things happen.
to playing in the new Chase Arena, which is state of the
Yeah.
art, obviously, away from
Yeah.
Oakland in downtown San Francisco.
But you know what, Michael? Golden State probably could be considered the team of the decade in the NBA.
Of course,
I think they did so much.
they had
you know,
a dynasty.
how much-
I mean, they
how
could have
much-
they could have won 3 in a row.
How much more can you ask for that team? The Southwest Division, the Houston Rockets 24-11, Dallas Mavericks 23-13, San Antonio Spurs 15-20, Memphis Grizzlies 16-22, and the New Orleans Pelicans 12-25. That rounds the NBA.
So we go to the NHL now.
Yep.
And, you know, the game yesterday was incredible. I got to tell you, the best thing the NHL did is to have that
Winter Classic?
3-on-3 overtime.
Okay.
Okay, the Winter Classic is one thing,
Yeah.
but there is nothing like watching the overtime in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just fast-paced, back and forth. The goalies are making incredible saves. I mean, everyone's on top of their game. It's going back and forth. Sometimes you don't even get a whistle. It keeps on going.
Yeah.
And then, after all that excitement, you could look forward to the shootout.
Exactly.
I
That's what I was
mean,
going to say. The
NHL,
shootout is
what
definitely
they did, Gary Bettman,
very exciting. The shootout.
pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, for one thing, years ago they had that two-line pass. Good thing they got rid of that because it just closed the game. You had the passes that everyone was on a breakaway and had to stop. So now you get rid of the two-line pass, and the game is just so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I play myself, and it's just NHL. It's got the viewers. I mean, and when we're talking about the local teams right now, Rangers just came off a really depressing road trip. They lost 3 games, and they came back yesterday. They had to regroup, and they beat Colorado 5-3. And the Islanders played the Devils yesterday. That's why I was saying I watched the game, and the Islanders got a really good team.
Yeah.
The Devils
young.
too. They got
Devils
coming
are
up.
are,
Mackenzie Blackwood
Devils
is
are in-
something else in that.
they're talking about coaching change.
I don't know if that's really necessary. I mean, you know, you got Blake Coleman, who's here now, Nico Hirscher, and Jack Hughes. Obviously, they're going to do good things. You got PK Subban on defense. I'd hold off on that coaching change. I really do. I think with the NHL, obviously, is all up in the air. I mean, at this point, last year, St. Louis wasn't even in the playoffs. I mean, the dominant teams are going to be there, but could the Devils get in the playoffs? I don't know. Obviously, the Islanders are doing pretty incredible. They had a couple of, wins.
They're the team of the
Lost back
future.
and forth.
You could sense that the Islanders are the team of the future
They're
because
one
of the
youngest
youth.
teams,
The youth,
and they go back and forth. Either
Now,
goalie they can.
We got another comment. What do you think of the Rangers coach? Do you think he's on the hot seat?
Yeah, you know what? I really think that they should think about changing the Rangers coach because he's another one. He just doesn't give them that enthusiasm, and Rangers should just think about getting a new coach. They're another good team. I mean, they have excellent. Their defense is.
He just texted me Quinn.
David Quinn, yeah. He's might be on his way out. I could tell you.
Speaking of on the way out, we're definitely on the way out. It was a great show.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. Michael, thank you for being part
Appreciate
of it.
it.
Brian on the other side of the glass. And
I look forward to the playoffs on Sunday.
for sure.
Pretty interesting games, and we'll find out what the outcome. The home teams are gonna win, or are we gonna have other upsets?
Exactly.
Are the Titans gonna continue?
Yep.
Minnesota gonna continue
Yeah.
with Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson? And don't forget Aaron Rodgers, because he's playing at home, and everyone's counting out these Green Bay Packers, but don't count them out. They probably will surprise somebody. I have a feeling that the Packers win big at home. As far as San Francisco, they should
It
win.
remains to be seen.
But you never know. Could be upsets.
Yep.